Hello, people. Welcome back to another episode of my YouTube channel. My name is Ola O to the L to the A. And if you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and to all my old and existing subscribers. I feel like you already know how I feel about you. Thank you so much for always watching my video, always supporting. To all the regular commenters, I see you and I acknowledge you. Thank you so much. And to people that are regularly liking my posts, thank you so much. In today's video, I brought a friend of mine with me. His name is Praise Osiki. I think I'm just going to give him time to introduce himself. Why are you raising up your hand? Be civilized. This is my channel. I think I'm going to give him time to introduce himself, and then I'll talk about what we'll be talking about in today's video. So Praise, please introduce yourself. I think you should introduce yourself. Tell us what country you are and what university you are in.
Hello, people. My name is P to the R to the A to the I to the
Why are
S
you
to
copying me?
the E. My name is Praise. I'm currently in the United Kingdom, right? Studying data science at the University of Northumbria, Newcastle.
Okay, sounds good. So in today's video, myself and Praise we'll be doing like a comparative study. I said comparative study like it's a research, but we're doing like a comparative study between studying in the UK and studying in the US, because like, just so that people know which country is like the best destination to study. And yeah, so first of all, we'll start from the admission process. So Praise, what would you say were the requirements for admission when you were applying? You said you are studying data science. So what is like the requirements for admission when applying to the UK?
Well, in the UK, I think the UK just as long as you have money, the UK will take you. So that's what it is in
Money is
UK, right?
the key thing in UK.
As long as you have money, they will take you. So I think the minimum is I think a 2-2.
Okay.
That should be the minimum that you be able to get a straight up degree, right? If you get a third class, I think you have to do a PGDE, like a diploma before your postgraduate degree.
Mhm.
That's for a third if you have a third pass or if you have just a pass from university. Right, but if you have a 2-2, 2-1, first class, straight up you apply. I know some schools required IELTS, proof of English. Some will just use your WAEC as your proof of English, especially if you're from Nigeria, which is kind of like an English speaking country. So your WAEC could be able to pass as your proof of English. Then for data science, you just have to have a little bit of knowledge in the field of data, like your background, right? So it's you could change any field you want to in postgraduate level because, like I said, UK just wants your money. That's what I would just say. But the standard of education is still good, like it's still quality because if you go, they're different. It depends on the schools you go to. We have the Ivy League schools. We have the forgetting what they call them, indigenous schools. There's some indigenous schools, so they're just different categories. So it's better if you want to spend so much money, like you need to choose a school which is very good. Don't just say, oh, because I'm coming to the UK, just choose a school that it's worth your money. Yeah.
So from what I can hear from you, UK is just like have the money and we'll give you the admission, right? So okay, I
Yeah.
mean, for US, I think US is like kind of different from UK, because for some people you have to write exam, because I know that for people that are studying data science, I think they have to write exam like GRE or thereabout. And I think that's like one of the major difference within between UK and US, is that in US, sometimes you have to write exam, which is like the graduate research exam, which is GRE, or like the GMAT, graduate management something something exam. And sometimes you also have to write test of English proficiency if you are from a country.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
you write something like that in the UK? Like people that don't speak English in their country, do they have something to prove that they actually understand English?
Well, even I speak English. The first school I applied to, I wrote a proof of English test. I did both the oral, the listening, and the written.
Okay.
Right. So there's a particular grade I had to do in that because that was like another option in me writing IELTS because I had the Cambridge O level. Um, so I didn't have a WAEC O level. I did a IGCSE as my O level.
Oh, okay.
So and my undergraduate would also prove. So I was just able to, it was just fixed with using, with using, with using a written test from the university itself, right? So, and I know there are some schools, that's why I said it depends on the category of school you're going to. Some schools you'll probably have to write exams,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they'll test your knowledge in it. But there are some courses that are meant for people who don't have a basic understanding of the course,
Okay.
right? So teaching in such courses will be from the bottom up, like they'll teach you from the scratch, right? So I know some schools will ask you to write exams, some schools won't. So it all depends on the school you want to go to, and it all depends on the money that you have, right?
Okay.
So
So basically, UK is about the money, money, money. Anyway,
no,
for
no,
you,
no, no,
so
no.
would you say that it is difficult to get admission in the UK?
Well, currently it is, with the Japa syndrome, which is all around now. So it's schools are becoming more how do I put it?
Rigid?
Yeah, and they're becoming filled up in a way. For example, this September batch that just came in, there was so much inflow and influx of people, overseas and foreign students, which in a way affected the January set of next year,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's a limited space for January of next year. So for those that were not able to get in this September batch, so they've been moved to the January batch. So meaning that there will probably be limited spaces. So I know some schools have even stopped. They've said they're not admitting for January. I know some schools like that
Okay.
because the inflow of people, because you have both Nigerians, you have Africans moving in, then you have Asians such as Indians, Chinese, everyone just flowing. So it's some schools are becoming more a bit more restrictive in the way they will release the caste documents. And I know the UK government is also looking into that, whereby they're going to probably institute some rules and guidelines as regards foreign students. Though we're still watching it, we're still looking at how it's going to go through. But currently, it seems like that next year, it'll be tougher to get into the UK for
Okay.
studies.
Okay. So, I mean, we are still on the document. So, like I said, in the US, you have to like either write the exam. I mean, it depends on like whatever school you're applying to. You can either write the exam. You can also either write like the test of English proficiency, which is also an exam. Then you have to submit your SOP. You have to submit your GR. I'm sorry, I said GRE. I already said GRE initially. You have to submit your SOP and your resume. So, do they submit SOP and resume in the US?
Well, in the UK, I submitted for mine. I submitted my CV, right? I submitted
Mm-hmm.
my CV. I submitted my SOP also. Because I applied to a lot of schools.
Okay.
In one of the schools which I got admission in, the SOP was like really the main thing because there
Okay.
was also scholarship availability.
Okay.
So you have to be able to convince them of why you're doing the course, right? So if so for some schools you don't need to write SOP, but for
Okay.
certain grades of schools you need to write SOP. So if your SOP is not strong, I think that's probably going to be one of the criteria that will probably come into place as for next year. So as to limit having an overload of people. So it's just about the quality, and an SOP doesn't necessarily have to be very long. You can pass across the information within 2, 3 paragraphs.
Okay.
Whereas if you write 2 pages, you don't pass across the information. So you just
Okay.
need to be concise and precise. Yeah, so
Okay.
some schools do that.
Okay. So that's that about the document. I think the documents are kind of similar, aside from the fact that in UK you are kind of like emphasizing the money. So let's move to admission term. So in the US, we basically have like um, I think 4 terms, but like two are the most common. So we have the fall. Fall is between August to December. And then we have the winter. Winter is like the whole of December and part of January. And I think they don't really admit students to come and study in the winter. I think winter is just for people that want to take winter courses, like courses during the holiday, because normally at that period we are on holiday. So so like I think it's for people that are already in school. Just if you want to take like winter courses, like maybe you are kind of like very busy during the semester, or there's one course that is very difficult for you, and then you're like, I don't want to take this course when I'm taking other courses, so I want to take a winter course. And then we have the spring. Spring is usually from January till May. And a lot of students that come in for fall or spring. That is like the most common, but the most common is fall. But the most common out of these 4 admission term is fall and spring. Then after spring, then we have the summer. I know some people that also come in for summer, but like there are not a lot of people that come in for summer. So for summer term is usually between May through like first week in August thereabout. So that is it. But the most one, the one that is really, really popular is it's fall and spring. And also for summer classes, some admitted students take classes during the summer. For instance, I took a class during the summer just to like reduce the workload I would have in the fall. So I took a class during the summer. So what is like the admission term in the UK? Do people just get admitted anytime, or like there's a term that you have to like apply to?
Well, I don't know the test whether it's summer or some of us are not so good in. You understand? So, but the main admission sessions are September and January,
Okay.
right? So there's also a May intake, right?
Mhm.
I think that's probably like I think that should be summer, right?
Mhm.
So there's winter. Winter session is like is it September? No, no, autumn session is September. That's like the main intake, September. And there's now a supplementary intake, which is January. So the two
Mhm.
main intake periods are September and January. Then there's now an option in May. So for May, it's not all courses that will be open in May, right? So there'll just be very few courses that will be open in May. But for September, all courses will be open in September. Then in January, all courses will also be open, but they will be at a different length to the ones of September. For like September, you can have 2 years, 1 year. But for January, most times you have 16 months, 1 year, So September affords that flexibility in the length at which you want to do your master's. Whereas January is just a fixed, it's majorly 16 months or 18 months. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So how do you call like your semester? Do you just call it like September or first semester, or do you call it like autumn semester or something? Because there we either call it like fall, like this is fall 2020, the January intake is spring 2023. So like what do you call yours?
Yeah, it's the same thing. There's autumn currently this period, October to November. I think this semester ends in December. So that's the autumn period, the
Okay.
autumn semester. So the autumn semester starts from that October, or let me say September to middle of or early December.
Okay.
Then we have the autumn semester, we have the spring semester,
Okay.
we have the summer semester. Then I think there's also the fall, which is around that May period. Yeah, so we have all 4 semesters.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. So I feel like it's kind of similar. It's just like the wording that is different.
Yeah.
So moving ahead, let's move to, because you've been emphasizing money, 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 money. Let's move to scholarship. So I know in the US, I feel like the US is very generous with fund. I know that the US is very generous with funding. And when you get funding, it is possible to actually get fully funded in the US where you don't have to pay anything for school fees. Do you think it is possible? I'm not talking about, like applying for external scholarship or like all these MasterCard scholarship, but I'm saying like a school in the US will fully fund you, like they will fully cover your tuition. Do you think it is possible in the UK to get a school? Or I mean, anything is possible. Do you think it is rampant in the UK? Rampant means like how frequent it is. Do Do you think it is rampant in the UK to get a school that will pay your tuition, not external scholarship, a school that will pay your tuition? Do you think that's possible?
Well, it's possible, but not so rampant. Like you said, the US is more flexible. Like in
Mm,
the UK, there are external scholarships. Like I know, like now because of the UK, there are certain fields that there's more there's more importance that has been placed on them,
mhm,
right? So, for example, I know for women in tech,
mhm,
there's a scholarship that is there for them,
mhm.
right? It's just there. You have ladies have access to it. So it's I think it's 10, women is 10 or so. So there's a particular amount that they get given. I'm not sure if they have to apply for it, but because you are in tech, so in certain schools, you don't need to apply for them. It will automatically be yours as a lady in tech in certain schools, right? But it's not as rampant as it is in the US. In the UK, it's more of external scholarships that you see more in the UK.
Okay. Okay, well, that makes sense. So, because I know in the UK, in the US, like it's possible to get a school that will cover 100% of your tuition, especially for graduate school. Like there are so many, like most graduate students don't even pay their tuition. And I think I've heard somebody saying that it is, like the person was just joking, and the person was like, it is illegal, although it's not illegal, but the person was like, it is legal for you to be a graduate student and be paying your tuition. But people just say it, but like most I mean, there are some people that don't have full scholarship. There are some people that maybe the school just give them like partial waiver. But most people that I know came to the US fully funded. Like they don't have to bother about tuition. So another thing I would ask is, okay, let's move to like immigration law. So in the US here, it is illegal for students to work off campus. So most times when school offer you scholarship, they either offer you scholarship, and the scholarship is also coming with a job, which is what we call graduate assistantship. So you work for the school, they pay your tuition, they pay like other fees. Sometimes some schools don't pay other fees, but some schools they pay other fees and they give you like a stipend monthly. And the stipend usually range from 1,000, I think I should say $700 to like, it depends, like for PhD students, they are getting higher to like maybe 5,000 US dollars. It depends on the school you're applying to. So, would you say that that is, and okay, so like I was saying, so if you don't get this, like maybe you don't have employment from the school, you can get like all these employments in school, like working in dining, working as like you can get different of employment offers in school. I know a friend of mine that is working with like the customer care unit of the school, like literally they call alumni and they do all that. And I know some people that work in dining, some people work in DEI, like diversity work and everything, and they get paid. But it is illegal for you as a student to work outside campus unless like you prove financial hardship, and that is between you and the international office. Like you have to write a letter to the international office, and I think the international gives you like an authorized document to work off campus, but it is very, very rare. Like it happens in rare situations. It is very, very rare to see international students working outside campus. So do you think that is the same in the UK? Can people in the UK work off campus, or are they restricted to, oh, so if you don't get full scholarship or if you need extra money, you have to work on campus? And even when you work on campus, you cannot work more than 20 hours. So if you have like employment, even if the school employed you, because I know somebody that got fully funded, but the person is working for 15 hours, the person is like, oh yeah, I need more money. Like these people are not paying me enough. I'm working for 15 hours. I need more money. And the person is working in another place on campus for 5 hours. So that is like 20 hours, because I know for international students, you can also only work 20 hours. So do you think this rule applies to UK? How long can you work as an international student? And also, as an international student, are you permitted to work off campus?
Yeah, as an international student, I'm permitted to work off campus. Like I said, we don't really have so much of school directly funding
Mhm.
you as for total scholarships. You know, sometimes you can see things in your tuition whereby they said a scholarship of about 2.5, 3.5, 3,000, just depending on the grade of you get.
Mhm.
Right. So in the immigration law, there is what we call on during school term and off term. Right. So during school term, you're allowed to work a maximum of 20 hours per week.
Okay.
Right. Then when school is not in term, you can work as much as your current employer permits you to.
Okay.
Right. Because when you're working that 20 hours per week, it is not taxed. Right. Because as a student, there's certain things on the tax rule whereby if you're not earning up to 12,000, I think 250 or 500, 12,050 thereabout, your first 12,050 or 12,250 is not taxed,
Okay.
right? Then once you start earning more than that, that's when any amount above that begins to be taxed,
Okay.
right? So as an international student, you are only allowed to work 20 hours during school term, and you can work anywhere you want. You can work whether it's with school, you could work as long as it's 20 hours. So there's no limit in where you can work, but the only limitation is in the time you can work during school term. And during off term, you can work for as many hours as is feasible both to you and your employer.
Okay. So the UK is just like bring money and maybe you can get your money back because you'll be working. But the US is very, very strict with their immigration policy. I even know that as far as like even during holidays, you can't work except to get an authorized document to work. Because I remember when I was going for my internship, I had to apply for a document to work, which is what we call the curriculum practice, blah, 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 to work. And I had to prove that it was like related to my course, like I just wasn't working anyway. A lot of people do it, but it is illegal. A lot of people work without getting the document, but it is legal. You know, you don't want to be doing things that are illegal. So I know for US, like they are very strict with it. Like if you'll be working anywhere that is not on your campus, you need to get an extra document. It's not like anyone will come and meet you. It's not like anybody will come and meet you that, oh, like, yeah, why are you, or anybody will stop you one day and say, what's the immigration status? But it is legal. You know that at the back of your mind that, okay, what I'm doing is illegal. And of course, like you would not want to leave your country to come to a new country and be doing illegal things. Like I would never advise that. I would just advise that you stick to the law. And that is why I most of the time emphasize that if you don't have money, try as much as possible to get fully funded offer. So for the visa, I know visa is another thing. So in the US, whether whether you have fully funded scholarship or not, it is the probability that you'll be rejected is 50 out of 50. Although like when you have fully funded scholarship, you have like high chance of getting acceptance, but it doesn't mean that you cannot be rejected. Like there are a lot of people that are fully funded. I even know somebody that doesn't have any deficit at all and the person got rejected. So there are a lot of people that are fully funded that still get rejected. But how is it in the UK? Is it that as long as you have money to like cover yourself, like the visa is automatic? Because I know a lot of people, like when I talk to some of my friends in the UK, they're like, yeah, like when they tell me, you know, like they are working, they are doing this, I'm like, why, yeah, why not come to the US? And then they are like, yeah, because even in the US, when I get fully funded offer, they would like the visa is still not sure. Is it that UK visa is sure as long as you have money, or there are still some instances where they might reject you?
Well, with the UK visa, there's what we call proof of funds, which I think every visa has
Mm-hmm.
proof of funds, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now with the UK, you're supposed to show you have certain amount of money. It will calculate it for you, like it will tell you how much the minimum you need to have. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to show you have so and so amount for certain periods of time to be able to take care of your living expenses and all the rest. So with UK visa, you're rarely denied, right? But you're denied probably if there's probably a false documentation, or if the account didn't check out, or if it's more of a fraudulent issue, or if they were not able to confirm certain things. I know
Okay.
that's only when the UK visa can be denied, right? Though sometimes the UK visa might take a long time, right? It might take a very long time to come out because if you as a main applicant, your visa could come out this week, then it could take like another month before your dependent visa is out. So there are all those kind of issues, right? And so it's necessary. I think it's kind of one of the easiest visas in a way to get, as
Okay.
long as you're able to prove you have all the necessary documents, all the necessary funds. You don't have any history in which you did not make them aware of, right? So as long as you make everything clear from the onset, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay. Okay. So when you are applying for UK visa, you say it might take a lot of time. That means like your visa is not in person because in US, like they are determining your future rights in your presence. If they are giving you, you know. If they are not giving you, you know. So does it mean that like you are just submitting documents, the visa process is not in person?
Yeah, it's not in person because you won't know whether they are giving you or not. Till you open up where your passport was put, right? So yeah, I know the experience about the US whereby if they're not giving you, they will tell you, you will know straight up from it. Or with the UK, you'll do your biometrics, then you go back hoping for the best,
Okay.
right? So nobody will send you a mail. The only time they'll send you a mail is probably if they just want you to confirm something, and then they will send you an NSF mail, right? Just for it to just confirm different things and the rest. But you won't, there's no in-person confirmation. So it's till you get your passport, you open it, that's when you see whether you're denied or you are not.
Okay. So basically, you just need to keep monitoring your status online. Or are you
Yeah.
submitting your passport and when they are returning your passport, or will you know, like before they return your passport, will you know if you were accepted or denied?
You're submitting your passport.
Okay.
Though there's that option of you holding on, there are different options. There's that option of you holding your on to your passport till a decision is made. So
Mm-hmm.
if a decision is made, you now give them your passport, then there are different options. But you submit your passport normally from after your biometrics and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You give them your passport because on the passport is where the visa signet will be placed, right? So that's where you see if you've been approved or if it's been denied. Yeah, so
Okay. So that is that on studying abroad. I do want you to come back to talk about living in the US versus living in the UK. But I think time doesn't permit us now because I feel like we've spent 30 minutes and I don't want this video to be too long. So if you want him to come back to come and talk about living in the US versus living in the UK, you have to watch this video because it's going to be determined on the number of views we have on this video before I can tell you to come back because I need to know that you're interested in content like this. And if you're interested in, like making a comparison between schools in like other countries and studying in the UK, also let me know. Put it down in the comment section. If there's like a school you want me to compare, and if I know people in that school, I can reach out to them if they're willing to like talk about it. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much to our guest speaker for today. At least I feel like people already know, so you know how to like choose your battle. Do you want to go to the UK where you can work freely, or do you want to go to the US where you are restricted but you don't have to worry about your tuition, or you have to like worry about like maybe part of your tuition, but like you know ways how you can get it all.
yeah, sorry, sorry,
You have to
Ola.
choose your struggle.
Sorry, just to cut you short a little bit. Don't pay it like the UK. It's just the money they're looking for.
They're
No,
also giving you
it,
education now.
yeah. So they're not really. It's not really not really concerned about the money, right? As you
Mhm.
know, that's why external scholarships. You have a lot of external scholarships in the UK as long as you have good grades.
Yeah, the external
Right?
scholarship in the
You
US.
have, yeah. So if you have good grades, forget it. Just apply for scholarship with good
Mhm.
SOP, everything, you'll get it.
Yeah, I know somebody that came in with, is it not this Chevin? Well, don't let me disgrace myself. But you know the scholarship I'm talking about, the one that starts with
Yeah, yeah,
CHP. So I know
yeah.
somebody that
Chevy.
came in with that scholarship and like flights, everything, like they paid for everything in the UK, like it's living
Yeah,
really large. So yeah, so I mean in the US to their external scholarship, like all this MasterCard scholarship, MasterCard will even they will be giving you monthly stipend and they will give you everything you need to
yeah,
set up, buy
yeah.
system, buy everything for you, pay for your flight and everything. But like I said, you still have to choose your struggle. Do you want to go to UK where like the visa is kind of surer than the US if as long as you have money and where like there's no law restricting you from working off campus. Because I know when I talk to people about the fact that I can't work off campus, they're like, oh my God, why are they restricting you like that? I can never come to the US because of that. But at the end of the day, I'm also like, I think I'm enjoying because I literally, like, I'm not working off campus. I work and I can decide to work from home or anything. Like, I can set the basis of how I want to work. So yeah, so that is it. Thank you so much. Like I said, watch this video and then we'll talk about the comparison between living in the UK and living in the US. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for having me.